Be Classick Team-Up.
Yeah, this will be a classic team up with the two guys from Comic Book Chronicles, Agent 70 and Roddy Cat on Twitter.
I'm totally taking over the sound effects.
Feels like home.
Welcome everyone to another edition of Classick Team-Up. I'm your host, Classic Materia. You know me. My name is in the show title. You can call me Classic. And this is the first show in, I guess, 6 months. Or what were we, like October? Last time I recorded was in June. So, yeah, your kids were getting out of school when I last recorded the team up. And now your kids are back in school, suffering, hopefully getting ready for Halloween or whatever. But I'm joined by, trick or treat. Smell my feet. Hopefully, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts for this team up. First off, from the Comic Book Chronicles, he is the man with all the news that nerds need. He is Roddy Cat, joining the proceedings. Welcome, Roddy Cat.
Thank you. It's my first team up. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you on the team up here. And also joining is, of course, the man behind the sound effects from the Comic Book Chronicles. He's joining us, returning to the team up, is Agent_70 on Twitter.
What's up, everybody? Yeah. And lest he forget, there is one thing that Classic has left out of the opening to every
Bowie Grana Ninivog.
Yes! Yes!
Well, I'm doing my best Tim Dog impersonation from the Comic Book Chronicles. And without trying to make fun of him, but at the same time, like, yeah. Matter of fact, Tim was single last time I did a team up. Now he's married. So the more things change, and congratulations to Tim D-O-double-G. There's so much that's happened over the summer. I'm not even going to try to get into what I've been doing the whole summer long. I've been working, which is why I haven't had a team up in so long either. There's been a lot of great things going on, but we are right now on the cusp, at the fringe, right at the beginning of this week, the New York City Comic Con. Try to say that 5 times fast. The New York City Comic Con is taking place this week, and I know my brother over there, Agent_70, is going. You gonna be there?
Yeah.
All right.
Hell yeah! That's one of the reasons why. Just a heads up to everyone listening or watching. I may not be on the show on Thursday.
There it is. And of course, you guys are regulars on the Comic Book Chronicles. With the Click Nation, right here on the CSPN, as well as at theclicknation.com. And you can catch all previous episodes of the Comic Book Chronicles. I gotta stop doing that, Tim. I'm serious. I listen to the show and I'm like, yeah, man, Tim really has it down, man. And anytime I guest host or whatever, I'm like, I can't beat Tim, but I try.
The funny part about it is when the rest of us tried to do it.
Yeah.
As many as times as we've been on the show, we still don't ever get it.
Yeah, like he really has it down. Follow our Google Plus community at the Click Nation. I'm like, what? There's still a community, okay. Follow us on Pinterest at the Click Nation. Really, we still got a Pinterest page? Yeah, God love Tim D-O-double-G. I love the guy. And of course, shout out to him and to PCN_Dirt on Twitter.
Yeah.
And but pretty much it's us three, because we're going to be talking about Luke Cage, which came out on Netflix this past weekend, and the three of us watched it. In parts, I would say the Agent_70, you and I have watched it in its entirety, in full, and Roddy, you've kind of watched it up until a certain point.
We are going into episode 7.
Okay, so you're well along there. Oh, you're getting into episode. That's when it turns. That's when it really turns. And I'm like, wow. So just warning for anyone listening that has not watched Luke Cage. If you're living under a rock, or you're like, oh, this is going to be the Luke Cage preview. Now this is the Luke Cage review show. There will be spoilers. Yes, there will be. Yeah, we will break some good and or bad news. So we'll talk about, give our takes, our reviews, and we might talk about some of the chatter going on about the show amongst various circles and shows in and out social media, and really just chop chop it up poetically about that. But first off, first impressions. Let's just trade off on what our first impressions are on Luke Cage. I'll let one of you guys go ahead and give your first impressions starting the show, and kind of getting what was the first thing you thought when you caught that first episode, or or when the show started. What hit you the first, like, immediately?
Simone Missick.
Oh
hell yeah.
Wow.
Simone Missick.
Get right to it, huh?
Yeah, she needs a sound effect for that. I don't know.
Good
man, listen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the prime selling point for the first episode, because what we find in the show is Luke Cage is the reluctant hero, right?
Yeah.
And this is something that it's a recurring trope, but it's something that at least in the Marvel world we're not completely used to yet. We sort of had it with Jessica Jones, but Daredevil is like, all right, he's jumping right into it. Luke Cage in this show is very reluctant, at least through the first couple of episodes.
Yeah. He doesn't want. He's pretty much, and you could tell it's something from his past. But he acts like somebody that does not want to be discovered, that does not want to be found out, that does not want to be in the public eye. He could easily be the top bartender, barber, whatever. He's just like, look, I want to sweep up hair, I want to do dishes, I want to be like low profile, but pay the rent. And he's willing to basically suffer, for that. He's owing the lady rent at the what was it? What's the name of that place again?
Oh, the restaurant. Genghis Khani's.
Genghis Khani's. Yeah, he owns Genghis Khani like so much rent, and he's like, I could easily knock off a bank or something or ATM machine and pay it out, but now I'm gonna work hard, and I'm a struggle on that rent payment because I can't get the attention. No, I don't.
Right. I was about to say he's trying to stay off the grid, and that's more on that throughout the first season. But we start to understand that there is a reason to there's a method to this madness. There's a reason for Luke staying as low profile as he can.
Yeah. What about you, Roddy? What was your first impression of the show?
So outside of seeing Mr. Knight, which I had a real big squee about, it was just the music.
I'm sorry, I totally took that the wrong way.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. I would have been the first one to think about that, but no. That aside, it was the music. Just from the opening credits to the opening little bit going into Pop Shop, just the music that just laid the groundwork of what's coming, and throughout the show was just the thing that's impressed me, because music is a big thing, and especially music in shows like that, especially if it's a show that that with the music is overlaid with what is going on with the action. Yeah,
and
it's loved me.
It sets the tone too. It was like you come in. I mean, right off the bat with that title theme, and it's got like that guitar wah wah and everything, and it really sounds very like 70s-ish, but at the same time it's like very today, because it's got the beat going and everything, right. And you're like, it really puts you in that sense like, Luke, this isn't like Power Man Luke Cage. This is like Luke Cage don't fuck around Luke Cage. Right. He's really, they really get the funk going and everything, and you realize that this is a show that this wasn't like Quentin Tarantino's vision of Luke Cage. This is some real hip hop going down right here.
Yeah, it's a period piece, but not the period that Quentin Tarantino and a lot of the 70s Luke Cage fans were thinking of.
Yeah, and that was when we get to feedback and talking about that. My first thought about Quentin Tarantino was he probably just wants to make Black Dynamite and call that Luke Cage, and I'm like, nah, that's just not how it goes down. I mean, Luke Cage, even for his time, was a radical type of superhero. And he had the Sweet Christmas and all the the stereotypical 70s stuff in the 70s and in the 60s, but he's been modernized. He's been changed over the years in the comics. So it's not like they could just say, hey, let's take 1970s Luke Cage and put him in today, and just reject about 20-30 years of history since then. I mean, Luke Cage has been modern for a while now,
Yeah, and sadly they are still kind of doing that, because we do have on the comic side a Luke Cage comic or miniseries coming up that is pretty much the 70s Luke Cage.
Yeah, what they call it, like Power Man Yellow or something, like kind of how they had Spider-Man Blue.
It's just Cage, I think, right?
Yeah, it's just Cage. Yeah,
Cage.
Well, it's because
but it's retro. It's like, you know, it's back in the day Cage, which I could understand. I mean, you know, anytime you have a character getting that high profile in other media, then it's like, okay, well, now let's kind of saturate the comics, where we've seen this over and over again with the movies, where it's like, you know, hey, well, the Lizard's the villain in this next Spider-Man movie, so let's bring back the Lizard in the comics, or let's bring back Doc Ock, and it's like all of a sudden you got all these different profiles on the Lizard or Doc Ock, and that was always my big beef about comic movies. I'm like, yeah, I've been reading the comics all this time, but now you care about the Lizard? Okay, well, yeah, new readers. You know, let's just open the door, welcome them in, and get them into comics. But you know what? The readers that are out here today, you know, making things happen in comics, or pushing that window, that envelope, they might have started on the movie Spider-Man or Blade or whatever, and Ghost Rider. Like, you know, they're kind of the newer generation, so I can't really knock it too hard.
Right.
Yeah.
And on the other side of that, we also have the actual modern Power Man and Iron Fist book, which is still great, and it kind of still also has a little bit of the 70s vibes in it.
Because it's bringing back, it's refreshing a lot of the old background and supporting characters.
Yeah,
you know, and I was about to say that's
being modern. So
I was about to say, before we get to Classic's take on, you know, his first impressions of the series, that if there's one thing that you know, kind of using this character, I'm not saying that Luke Cage hasn't been a kind of a lead character for a while, because he has been in Marvel Comics, but in terms of the supporting characters from the earlier versions of the character, they resurrect so many of these characters and repurpose them in this show. And all these names always sounded vaguely familiar, especially if you were a collector of like the handbook of the Marvel Universe. But you know, I confess, I googled a lot of these names. And I was like,
so did I.
This is where that character is from, you know?
Yeah, I know. I came into this not knowing a damn thing. I mean, I knew of Luke Cage, but I didn't know about his supporting characters. I might have known about Claire Temple because I read up on the Night Nurse when she was on Daredevil, and Rosario Dawson. I mean, come on. I knew about Misty Knight, you know, but beyond that, no, I couldn't tell you anything about Mariah, Dillard or Cottonmouth or or Diamondback, who's mentioned, or Shades. You know, you had to look up those characters, and the show does a great job of painting that picture and portraying them in a light where now it's like, if I pick up the comics, you know, it's not somebody I won't recognize, or if I go back and look, it's not somebody I won't recognize if I go back into the history of Luke Cage. And you know, that I think that kind of insulated me from that nerd rage that we feel. And I say we because I think we've all gone through this, where longtime comic reader, they put something up in that medium, you know, like how they did with the Batman movies, or how they do with Gotham, or how they do, and you're like, wait a minute, this is not how it goes in the books. What is this shit? Yeah. You know, and then you kind of walk out more nitpicking than enjoying, whereas everyone else is like, but this was good. I don't know why you have a problem with it. It's like, well, because I've already been spoiled by the comic, which was 100 times better, and then you're that guy that, you know, it was better in the book. I didn't have that.
It's also been drilled into you because you've been reading it, you know, a certain way for for as long as you've been reading it. Like, I still remember the tiniest bit of nerd rage when they didn't actually say that Cap's shield was the result of a vibranium and steel alloy metallurgical accident.
Yes.
Right. I'm just like, what? It's all vibranium?
It's all vibranium.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, no. I was like, oh, wait, calm down.
Right. Yeah, because at a certain point, I think we've all gotten to the point to where, okay, we know the movies are not going to go, movies or the TV is not going to go that far into the comic book, because they're still trying to, you know, collect people who don't know it. Yeah. As well as trying to keep us in there too.
And it gives the writers something to do. I mean, you know, we've had this discussion. If you've heard Classick Team-Up even ad nauseum going back to our comic book discussion or comic book movie discussions, it's something that I have a point of contention against. But at this point, I'm pretty much going to defend writers that do this. It's kind of why they hire writers in Hollywood to basically take that story and in some ways embellish, in some ways enhance the source material. Because otherwise, you're just going to take what's on the comic and just say, hey, well, here's your script, here's your screenplay, just do this. And it's like you could just take the comic and just verbatim read off on screen what's going to happen. I think it's kind of led to an era of mystery and artistry when you actually have the writing and everything portrayed the way it is. But yeah, to get to my first impressions of Luke Cage, first thing I could think of was Harlem. It's like the first opening shot was like of the street, the kids running down it, and like you pretty much got a sense. Even the opening credits is like they had all these imagery around Harlem, around uptown New York, and you kind of got the sense. You knew right away this is a New York-based superhero. This person is not, this isn't in Philly, this isn't anywhere else, and this was deep in Harlem. And that one thing I liked about the common thread of this is it was Harlem almost all the way throughout in terms of all the action happened there. They didn't go to other parts of town. That there were some other scenes in the whole thing, but most of it was in Harlem, and most of the people were people that lived in Harlem or were in Harlem. And I think that's kind of, that kind of was, we've seen this in other things before, like when people say, what was it, one of the Dark Knight movies? Oh, how the Dark Knight was like a love letter to like I think it was Pittsburgh. That it was filmed in, or The Dark Knight Rises. One was done.
Right. The one with the football, where the football stadium gets collapsed.
Yeah, that was The Dark Knight Rises. That was in Pittsburgh. That was shot in Pittsburgh, and I think The Dark Knight was in. If I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember if it was like Boston but basically it was like you got the sense of this is kind of, these are scenes in the city, and so this is kind of
Chicago, I think, because
Chicago. Yeah, it was Chicago. Yeah. So it's like the city becomes like a co-star, like The Wire. Baltimore is pretty much the star of The Wire. I mean, you got Omar and all these other characters, but it's all about the city of Baltimore. You really got the sense that Harlem was a major player, a major star in this, and even in fact, all the different scenes in from the barbershop to the Harlem. What is that called again? The Harlem Paradise to to the Christmas Addicts Center, which I still find funny. I'm like,
yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head. Like Harlem is just as much of a character as the music and as anybody who shows up. So you are absolutely right.
Yeah, and I say this to get right to the one of the points of contention that people have. I think the New York Times had an article about this. Luke Cage is too black. Like, it's in Harlem.
What?
Yeah. What do you want?
Wait, did they really write that?
I
retweeted something earlier about
in the
that.
Times.
They used a few more words from their crossword puzzle. They used a little more colorful vocabulary to get around to that point. But basically, the writer's biggest contention was, well, Luke Cage is just a little too black for my taste. He's a black superhero.
And most importantly, it's not about you, motherfucker.
Yeah, you know what? I think he was waiting for Jessica Jones to just sashay on in and like be a part of this and like kind of make it a, hey, well, white folk have a place in this too. Like, where are the white people? You know where the white people were?
Harlem.
In Harlem, the little kids, the kid that could eat 5 burgers and Mariah's like, just give him 3. There's your representation right there.
Exactly.
There you go.
Or Mariah's dude that was handing them the hand sanitizer. There you go, right there.
There you go. There's your representation. All this time we pretty much get one black friend or one black person on screen, and we don't say shit. And then all of a sudden we got a black superhero in Harlem with black people surrounding them, and like I mean. And I wouldn't say it was just all black, but it was a multicultural diaspora. But it pretty much depicted what Harlem is like. And I say this as somebody that's from Brooklyn, and I deal with that. When I go home, I'm like, this is kind of how it is. There's some sprinkling, there's some gentrification, there's some changes going on. But Harlem is traditionally mostly black, and these are Luke Cage as a hero for that community. you know, more than anything else. And so that's where you see his origin story or his development as a hero. I mean, he was a supporting character in Jessica Jones. It's like, okay, now this is his turf. You know, this is his spinoff, so to speak. And it's like, well, now we got to tell his story. So I don't know. That was kind of just short-sighted. The guy was probably just writing to get clicks or whatever, or talking out his asshole. But
yeah, I'm totally looking for this article right now because I unfortunately do subscribe to the Times. I'm like, what?
Yeah, and I wanted to jump on that early because, you know, it was like the latest thing to pop out today. And I thought, okay, we're going to go into this and we're going to review Luke Cage. But there's probably like tons of podcasts, and this is Tuesday now, that have or podcasts or blogs or think pieces about this Luke Cage already. So I'm like, well, I mean, what are we going to say that's any different? For one thing, we're going to say fuck the New York Times. I still love your crosswords, but guess what? I'm not paying that money. No, that's all right. You know, that's I can live. I could live. But Harlem as the star of the piece was fantastic. The music, I agree, was just amazing. You start off with Raphael Sadiq in the Harlem Paradise. So, I mean, that's just amazing right there. And the soundtrack, I mean, nothing on the soundtrack. Maybe a couple songs on the soundtrack were new, as in like, oh, I haven't heard that before. Like Faith Evans doing Mesmerize. I don't know. I don't think I've heard her sing that, or maybe it was on one of it. But pretty much
that was on one of our albums. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those tracks were pretty. You know, they were a couple years old, or they were pretty much. It was the playlist more so than a soundtrack, but it was pretty much. Okay, well, let's take some of the great songs from over the years and let's fit them in where they belong. But I think it was just done masterfully because a lot of that's from Ali Shaheed Muhammad, Method Man, so many actual music artists being involved in the development of the show. Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, Adrian. And then, and that was the other thing I liked too. And I would say first impression, but as it wore on, I was like, the music is just so great. This and it fits right here, and it fits right there. And oh snap, that's the Delphonics. Like when I saw that, I was like, oh wow, they really dug. They went back and they got original artists where they could.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You know what's funny is that this was definitely an ode to not the oldest hip hop heads, but there's definitely a generation that appreciates this music more so than maybe some of the younger folks that are coming up right now.
Yeah.
I would say that not just the music, but even the imagery. We're referring to the painting of Biggie that comes into huge effect.
Yes.
In the first major arc of the story. And I thought that was masterful. I am absolutely looking for a copy of that to donate to my barbershop.
There you go.
Because, they just redecorated. And I'm like, you know what? I'm wondering if maybe that's not the best thing to hang. That's probably pretty, that's going to be pretty cool. But but in retrospect, thinking back on it, and especially listening to the Spotify playlist that they put out, that it's under the username Marvel, I think.
Marvel Music.
Exactly. I'm just running through that and listening to the Method Man track that Roddy hasn't gotten to yet in the show, but is playing in the playlist.
Yes.
It's kind of an ode to 90s hip hop, but at the same time still staying very relevant because it just mixes so many of the genres and even the generations, because like you said, it also mixes in some soul and some funk from let's say 70s and even the 60s up to the 80s. Very diverse. It wasn't like all hip hop. It wasn't all Wu-Tang. At the same time, it wasn't all R&B. It was also, I mean, they had just at one point they played John Lee Hooker, who's like a blues icon, and I was like, yo. Okay, this is over. This is like the best Marvel series by far. Just the fact that they got John Lee Hooker playing, I'm like, wow. It really touched on the culture. Pretty much this is kind of like every time we all turn out for Marvel movies, whether it's the hip hop culture, Black culture, we want to see like one of us on screen, or Marvel, productions. This was the biggest nod
to those that have been like, whether it's Black, African American, or you, if you are from that or you have an appreciation for that, this was kind of the largest push towards that we've seen to date. Yep. You know, it wasn't just one character. It was like, this is a Black series, and it was a series. I say that to say that it was a series that people could enjoy of all walks. I mean, we saw a lot of the reviews where this is damn good. Mike Coulter is a good representation of the character. Alfre Wood is fantastic, and I'm probably gonna mess his name up. Mahershala Ali, was fantastic.
I've never tried to pronounce his name before.
Yeah, that's
that sounds pretty close from how I see it.
Yeah, because I know him from House of Cards. That's Remy. Right. And he was fantastic too. I mean, across the board, just the raves and everything. And at no point was like, oh, well, for a Black show, this is good. Like, no, this is a damn good series. Yes. That's kind of, that. And we're gonna get to the nitpicks and everything else. I don't want to get to that right away, but I'll ask this then: what is, and Roddy, you might have a short window for this, but what's one point where what was the first, I guess, moment that caught you by surprise, or what was the first thing that like shocked you about it as you were watching it?
So far. I just wonder first would probably be the sex scene between Misty and Luke.
Yeah.
Normally they would have kind of held off something like that for a couple of episodes, and they were just like, oh, okay, right up in here. All right, that's what's up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They wasted no time. Matter of fact, I went back and watched Jessica Jones that season, and I was like, okay, so Luke got in the draws a lot faster than he had to with Jessica Jones, because I mean that was like damn near 3/4 of the way through the episode. And in this case, it was like boom, already. Luke Cage don't play, man. He got a good track record. He's already my favorite superhero. You know what I'm saying? Tony Stark wasn't getting business like that. Captain America ain't even kissed nobody. He been on ice for how many years? Luke Cage is running through. I mean, goodness.
Well, although if you think about it, I was going to say, just in not in defense, but just if you think back on the first Iron Man, I don't think it was that long with the Vanity, before he got the Vanity Fair writer.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's true. I was about to say that.
Yeah, but still,
to be fair,
that was setting up Tony Stark.
But that was also a movie, so it was.
Yeah. They had to truncate that but still, if Iron Man was an episodic series, it wouldn't be till episode 3 or whatever. I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe, whatever, but still. Comparison wise, Luke Cage got it, man. And I'm talking like, and across 2 different series, it's like, damn, how you going to just show up, get introduced, and it's like you sleep with Jessica Jones, and then bam, here you are, you get down with Misty Knight. But still, I'm not even going to get to that. But yeah, but you know what? This series has changed how I look at coffee now. I mean, it used to be like I can't talk about coffee.
Like you got to clarify yourself when you say
it now. Yeah, I go to work, and if you saw Luke Cage, and I'm like, hey, you want to go get some coffee? And I get this.
Like,
how could you?
I'm sorry, I totally clicked the wrong sound effect because I was laughing too hard.
Yeah, the clock's ticking on when I'm going, because I can't be like, hey, let's go get some coffee. What do you mean, get some coffee? No. I'm talking like, I'm talking a hot dog beverage. Oh, wait, that's not.
Okay, so I got to bring this up real quick because when that first happened. With the coffee thing,
I don't like no damn coffee.
Especially when Pop was talking to Luke early on,
he was getting a little excited too, wasn't he?
Yeah, like Pops was like, yeah, you're gonna need something. You're gonna want something hot and dark, dark real soon, because that's when. Matter of fact, when Luke got hit on by old girl in the shop, he wasn't really trying to feel it so much because he was still kind of thinking about his
Bro, we're 3 guys on this podcast, right?
Yes,
there wasn't. Not one woman on this whole series that wasn't like below. I ain't even gonna say give a number to it, but they was all looking good. I mean, like whole cast.
Oh yeah. There's been everything's been across the board. Yeah.
Wow. So that was also something that stood out to me. I think somebody posted a photo of like all the women on Luke Cage, and it was like, wow, this is nothing but dives. And I'm like, I guess I don't rate women anymore, but if I were to,
but they were all definitely there.
Shout out to Mrs. Classick.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Hey, she'd say the same thing. Matter of fact, yeah, she was like, we were mightily impressed.
Well,
right.
What did I tell you? My first impression was my very first impression was Simone Missick. I think my jaw hit the floor.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I absolutely had. I was just thinking to myself, this show has gotten off on such a strong foot, not with Luke Cage, but with the supporting cast. With the other co-stars, setting up not just Cottonmouth, but and Misty Knight, but also Mariah Dillard, also some of the other characters. And I thought, that was such a great way to start the series, and to see that, I was reading some of the reviews. I was telling Classick offline and Roddy as well, just before we started, that I was perusing some of the reviews on Entertainment Weekly, and basically what they're saying is that the first couple of episodes, Luke, and I mentioned it earlier, Luke is kind of slow to get into the action.
Yeah,
but it gives us a great setup to the other supporting characters because they play such a strong role in the show.
It sets the tone and really sets the stage for what's about to happen. And you could start to get a sense as to, okay, this is how it's going to end up. But, as the story progresses, you realize, what you thought might happen, it may not. I mean, in some cases it does, but, it's like, okay, how do you get to that point? What's the journey like?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they really slowly get that set up for you. And a lot of that's because of the nature of Netflix. You're going to binge watch. You're not going to watch just one episode and be like, I'm going to wait a whole week and watch the second one. Like they know your ass is going to sit there Saturday or early Friday morning at 3:45. You can I'm going to watch another one of these, so you're going to try to bust out a few and then go to work and then spend all weekend try to watch it, which is pretty much what every one of us did, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think Classick can vouch for this when we say that we probably spent good chunks of both Saturday and Sunday watching this.
Yeah.
To squeeze in all 13 episodes. In terms of the most surprising, I'm trying to figure out if the most surprising thing to happen in this happened before episode 7. I think it did for me, and it involves a villain. I want to confirm this with Roddy.
Okay.
It's the most surprising thing to happen. I'm trying to figure out if this happens by episode 7.
I'm gonna say it didn't.
It didn't. Okay,
yeah,
so
if you're talking about who I'm thinking you're talking about, no.
Okay, so it hasn't happened yet. But like I said, without spoiling anything.
Yeah, but you're getting the sense, though. You do get the sense that, okay, there's something more to the villain, to the later villain than just, they name drop him, and I'm like, yeah, well, we haven't seen him yet, so I know that's probably going to be like the final boss or something. Like that's going to be how, that's going to be where it escalates to. But yeah, episode 7. And let's just put it out there for anyone that hasn't seen it or anyone that has. Spoilers again. Episode 7 is where all the shit changes, where shit gets real, and where everything takes a turn.
Right, and you could tell that by the time, like I was telling you guys earlier, I just finished 6. We just finished 6, and you could even tell even then. I was like, okay, this is clearly where the turning point is going to be with what happened in that episode.
Here's what I realized too. If your character and you're a secondary character and you get that origin story, something gonna happen to you. Because we got that with Pops, and by now most people have seen it. They know Pops eventually passes. That's
some of the trailers kind of spoiled some of that. So not spoil it, but kind of lose a lot of that stuff.
But I mean, like as soon as they were like, "Hey, so this is kind of Pop's backstory in his past," I'm like. Yeah, so I guess he's gonna die this episode because now they're really making us care about him, And I'm like, damn, why they had to go and give us his origin and everything, and things were. It kind of goes back to Harlem as a community, or just the way the show is set up. A lot of people there are just tightly connected in some way. Like you couldn't tell just from seeing them interact that Pops and Cottonmouth went as far back as they did.
Right.
You know, it's like kind of like, hey, Pops, what's up? Hey, Cotton, you know, hey, you know, and it was like when he told the story, it was like, wait a minute. If that's what y'all been through and you actually did time for this dude and everything, or you pretty much, I mean, look, me and Age of 70 go back ways. So I'm like, he can't walk into some barbershop I work at, just sit down to get a hot towel. I'm going to give him a pound. I'll be like, yo, what's up, dude? You know, what's going on? Yeah. You know, because I mean, that's just how far back we go. I'm not going to just play it cool for, you know, or if we had a falling out, I'd be like, get the hell out of my shop. What are you doing? You know, it wouldn't be like, hey, well, you know, I just want to shave. All right, here you go. You know, because it's just how far. But the connectivity and the fact that they could just, you know, go about their business, you know, it's really impressive to me as far as like how they set that stage for later on, like how it's connected, and then the respect, you know, that Cottonmouth has for pretty much, like, he has that code of the streets, you know, similar to Omar the Wire. Man's got to have a code, and he really does follow that, even though he's still a ruthless, you know, gangsta type. It's like, you know, when he reacted to, you know, that idiot that shot up the barbershop, and like, you know, he's like, well, Pops didn't make it. It was like, oh,
yeah. Fucking Tone.
Yeah, Tone was an idiot, man. I like, the whole time I was like, this is fool, man. I mean, at first he gave that shit to Shades, and I'm like, yeah, so you're not lasting long, because I mean, if the man calls himself Shades and just wears shades, and Cottonmouth is cool with that, I don't think you need to be stepping to him, because apparently, you know, he keeps that for a reason. You ain't the first one to come to him and be like, that looks ridiculous. What you do wearing shades inside? Like, yeah, you know, you're not inventing something new.
And you see that a couple of times within people in Cottonmouth's organization, because like Zip was kind of in the, well, at least where I am, is kind of seemed like he's getting to that point. Like, and then Dante, or not Dante, Shamit before that. With, you know,
it's like taking things at face value, and that's kind of like that. That is kind of that hood mentality. Like, yo, you know, if you ain't got swag, if you ain't got swagger, you know, what are you about? And it's like, nah, it's a little deeper than that, because, you know, if you've been through some things in it, you ain't got to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? If you've actually, you know, gone through some things, and I like how they paint and like portray the different parts, you know, different people within that organization, because you really get a sense for, it's not just thugs and bad guys. It's like you actually start to realize and identify with some of them and go, oh man, well, this is not going to end well for him. And, you know, so by the time Cottonmouth, you know, by the time whatever happens, you're like, you really get a feeling for, okay, this is all, you know, crumbling, or this is all coming down at once. You know, you really get a sense of what that change is, because you've gotten to know the organization. I mean, you pretty much spent the whole half the series staring at that Biggie photo.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that I just thought of the thing that probably stood out to me the most as an Asian American person, and this is all pre episode 7, right? That when Cottonmouth's tough guys go into to try to mess with Genghis Khanis, and there's a scene that's almost like paraphrased from Do the Right Thing. How can you come to this country and not speak English? And what comes back is perfectly accented New York English. Like, what are you talking about? I speak perfect English. My parents own this restaurant and this building.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's awesome.
You know, that's it.
You know, rest in peace. I was gonna say, rest in peace, Bill Nunn. Radio Raheem. You know, that made me, especially with that happening, you know, right before this dropped.
Yes.
You know, we had already kind of watched a couple of the scenes that he was in and Do the Right Thing. And when Chio Coker put this into Luke Cage, I kind of giggled at that. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was like a nice little nod.
Yeah, which reminded me, because when they showed a couple of old pictures of Pop, didn't they kind of remind you of like Bill Nunn?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He looked like the dumb man from New Jack City with the Kangol and everything. Yeah. It was like,
yes.
I was like, oh man, that's the.
Like, oh shit.
That was the getaway driver from
Absolutely.
Yeah, from CMB.
Right.
You know, him and Keisha.
Yeah, I was about to say the whole. You know, what's funny is that the whole bit with Genghis Khani and what happens at the restaurant. That was another shocking thing. I was like, wow, they got money for this in a Netflix show.
Yo, yeah, they really went all out. They went all out with the effects right there. But you have to. I mean, it's Luke Cage. I mean,
yeah, the effects have to be big because it has to be able to look like it might hurt him.
Yeah, well, there was that, and it was like there are lots of elements even later on that start to become sci-fi, and you realize, I'm like, wow, it's like this is freakish. This is kind of like, I mean, this is real. I'll tell you what this series was to me. Like before, and I gotta say, episode 7 was a turning point. Before episode 7, it just seemed like a crime drama, or it seemed like kind of like like kind of one of those movies that's set in the community. You know, there's some gangster activity. There's fighting back and taking back your streets. And, you know, are you going to stand up? Yes or no? And there's like a lot of that social conscious type thing. And then after 7, it turns into a comic book. And like, I don't say that's a bad thing or a good thing. I mean, for me, it was good. I think for a lot of people, it was like kind of like as soon as that happened, it became a turnoff for people. But for me, it was like, okay, now this really feels like a comic. Like, you know, like after issue 7, it's like, wow, now you're really getting into the comic. You know, like you've already established what the community is, what the stakes are. Now it's like, okay, here's some backstory, and here's some sci-fi elements, and here's some connected plots.
I was gonna say, and some high tech elements too.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I guess that makes sense because usually in the beginning of a comic book, you have setup of the character of the story and probably the surroundings. You're lucky.
It's very simple. Yeah, it's okay. Here's who the players are. Here's what's going on. Here's the threat. But then it's like, okay, let's go back to their origin. Yeah, so this happened in a lab, right? And like, wait a minute, that's how he got his powers. That's how he got where he got to be, and and then experimentation and everything. So I mean, this really truly was a Marvel series in that respect too, because it wasn't like Jessica Jones. Even when they told her origin, it was kind of like, it was very vague.
Yeah.
It was like, and then this accident happened. It's like, you didn't really get to specifics. Like, okay, so this is how she became who she was. But partially, it was sci-fi in a sense because of, Purple Man, and like all the things going on with him and Mind Control. That was that element of it. But even like Daredevil was the same, very similar. But Daredevil got more into like, Eastern culture,
right? The training, right? Like him, him kind of becoming, a capable person with the radar sense.
Yeah, but Luke Cage, that became a throwback to 70s comics in terms of, it started getting to sci-fi and like kind of quasi horror a little bit at some points, and then the villain was just over the top. I keep coming back to like that main bad guy, but to me, I mean. Look, let's just say, as much as I liked Cottonmouth, I even loved Diamondback a lot more. Like but because it was like,
I was about to. I don't know if I'm exactly in that same.
Yeah, a lot of people weren't. They're like, oh man, it just kind of took. For me, it was like, oh, comic book. Like he seemed like a real threat.
Yeah, no, that I agree with. He's a legitimate threat. We're not going to spoil too much for Roddy. Yeah.
Yeah, straight out of comic book. You say, and I am kind of spoiling it for Roddy a little bit, but when you see him straight out of a comic book, you're like Cottonmouth is like, he could have been on The Wire, he could have been in one of these movies, whatever. There's no mistaking, this other guy's like and the fact is, everyone answers up to this guy, and like, the whole time I'm thinking, how did he establish such a criminal empire, and how sick and twisted was he to do this just so he can get at Luke Cage?
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, I just so happen to have this huge criminal empire and all this influence. And by the way, it was like, no, I did this so I can like fuck with this guy.
Right. So I wanted to like I don't know, Classic, if you wanted to go in another direction, but I wanted to ask the panel what you guys thought of some of the subtle changes they made to Luke Cage's origin, and there's a couple I wanted to touch on. One is where he's actually from, and two, some of the origins of his. Well, actually, no, I don't want to touch on the origins of his fighting skill because that does touch on something else. How about, I guess, let me just start with, because I guess what sticks out in my mind the most is where he's actually from.
Yeah.
Because, spoiler alert for anyone, I mean, we rang the bell already, but it turns out that Luke Cage actually isn't from Harlem.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought that was really shocking because, in a sense, it sort of to me it changes the character because it kind of brings a more, and no offense, right, a more Southern sensibility to him, as opposed to like no, but there's a different. There's a reason why I mentioned it because it's as opposed to the kid that grew up on the streets of Harlem running, the way it was in the comics, kind of running around in a gang. And how they change that, and how that to me kind of changes some of the essence of the character.
So this might be kind of getting to a point that I was going to get into earlier, but yeah, I thought it was strange that they did that, and I felt like, well, clearly they did not just do this just so they could say, yeah, well, he was at Seagate, and Seagate is like in Georgia or off the coast of Georgia or wherever it is. Like they couldn't have done it. There has to have been the reason why they did that, and there's kind of a little bit of a even though he's not from there, he is still from there because of the fact that Harlem, like I've never been to Harlem. I don't know much about it outside of what I've been told from other people, and you see, on cinematically, but realistically in the portrayal, especially with the barbershop and the community scene, there's not that much different from being in the South because there is a whole lot of that still goes, that's like around. I mean, the neighborhood around the barbershop, people gather there, people found out the barbershop talk is just pretty much the similar line. People in the neighborhood all know each other. That the similarities are just direct parallels to each other. So that being said, maybe possibly why they did that is because even though he's not from there, he could still relate to it because he's come from a similar background. I don't know though, but that was strange that they changed it.
I think it fits actually, and I'm gonna tell you why. The Harlem Renaissance and what that was about. There was a lot of migration of Southerners to New York City, even after slavery and after Jim Crow, because New York City, New York was a free state. New York City was kind of like that metropolitan city, and they were ahead of the times in terms of accepting people, etc. And so Harlem became that community, and with culture and art and everything. So a lot of what became the black presence in Harlem in that part of the city came from black people coming from down south. That's why soul food is a big thing in Harlem. Sure. That's why you could still get like collard greens. I mean, they wasn't making that stuff in New York before the Southerners came up there. I mean, I wasn't around back in the 30s and 40s, but I can tell you right now, it took a while for my parents from, coming from the West Indies, from the islands, and bring our culture up there. You know what I'm saying? So you wasn't getting no oxtail or no fish, fish cake and goat and stuff. But, the macaroni and the collard greens and the fried chicken and stuff. So I think Luke having his roots in the South kind of and coming up to Harlem kind of fit. And it also made him a stranger. If he had born and raised Harlem, then there's no reason for him to keep a low profile. But telling the story of him, like, kind of changing neighborhoods and locations and still trying to, like, find a place for himself but not bring too much attention, that's kind of like what he did in Jessica Jones, hanging out in Hell's Kitchen, didn't work. His bar got exploded and all kinds of stuff happened, and he found out about his past and everything. So it's like, okay, this is my chance to start fresh. I'm not going to go too far. I'm going to come into Harlem. It's mostly black. I can blend in. Ain't nobody looking for me. And then, of course, things happen, and he becomes the hero of Harlem. But we see that happen over time. And I just think, even when he tried to lie, I was like, "I'm from Chicago. You ain't from no damn Chicago." I love Pop. Pop just told like it is. You ain't from no damn Chicago. I can tell your ass is from down south. Look here, country boy.
See, that's you know what's funny is that was because that was sort of my take on it too.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what is this country boy doing in this show? Come on, man.
But that
be from New York.
But that's a testament to the dialogue. It's real. And at no point did anyone say anything that didn't seem real to me in terms of how whether it's how we talk to each other, how folk talk. It was. At no point did anyone say anything. I mean, maybe some of the characters later on, but it was like, yeah, that's how you're gonna react to something when it happens. Luke Cage and Misty Knight talking about Raphael Sadiq, and he's like, "Oh, I could tell you was an old head because you talking about albums." like, that's how you talk to a woman, but I guess so, because I mean, yeah, if you old head, then you old head. I felt like an old head because I was like,
of course, because we related. That's I was getting back to what I was talking about before. I
was like Stone Rolling. I remember when he was down with Tony. You sitting there talking about Stone Rolling. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny.
I remember Sons of Soul talking about old head.
I was about to say talking about dated references, right? We're moving on into the next couple of episodes where we find out, some of Luke's origins and how he makes his, how he finds his way into, how we kind of meet him when he's in Seagate, and when he's talking to one of his fellow inmates, and they're talking about who's fine nowadays, like who the hottest
squabbles, yeah.
Oh my goodness! And you're talking about like all these dated references.
Lisa Bonet.
Yeah, exactly.
She got a daughter.
What?
That.
It's like, how long you been in here, bro?
Right? That made me feel old.
Yeah,
like, you got TV in jail.
Yeah, that's the brother that got the same copy of Playboy for years on years. Ain't never changed. Ain't turn her back into the library. Nothing. Or
probably that penthouse of Vanessa Williams.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
not what he did in life.
But
I want to go back on something real quick, because there's also actually brings up another parallel with the South stuff, because just like the Harlem Renaissance, where people were going up there to kind of get away from the South, people, and I've met a couple of people like this, coming from the North up that way to come down South.
Oh yeah,
to kind of get away from the old life, because basically it's like almost like what Pop Shop was trying to do. Was trying to I had to get away from there because it was bad influences, this and that other. So they come down here for a similar reason. Even that dude that rolled out the shop after Luke beat up everybody, and it was like, yeah, I'm going back to Raleigh.
Yeah,
which is North Carolina. So I was like, yeah,
yeah. And then Turk was like, I'm going back to Hell's Kitchen. You Harlem niggas is off the hook. Go back to Hell's Kitchen where it's safe, where Daredevil can just beat my ass a couple times a week.
Right, but he won't kill me.
Y'all throwing dudes off the window and locking me in dumpsters and stuff, man. Like, I'm going, y'all are off the hook, man. Yeah. And that was a nice wrinkled Turk Barrett being in there. It was like it was more than an Easter egg. It was like, I didn't notice he was in there playing chess until like a couple of beats in. I was like, hey, that's Turk Barrett. It was like, and then when he started talking and it had a prominent role after a while, I was like, okay, they really connected this thing now. And then my man Fish.
Bobby Fish.
Bobby Fish. I mean, Pop was fantastic, Frankie Faison, but Bobby Fish, continued and kept that going in terms of like being that sense of grounded realism. That kind of paternal sense. That kind of older mentor, father figure for Luke Cage to continue. Throughout. I like that. I like the fact that they use different landmarks. There was a lot of scenes like out in and around Olivet Baptist Church, which is a famous landmark in Harlem. I mean, I just like the fact that they use so much of the community, and
they're also giving lessons on them at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, they ain't no real Christmas Acts Center. I don't want anybody going up there trying to.
No, but but the other stuff that's around that they kind of call to.
Yeah. My favorite. All right, favorite scenes. Let's just go right to that. What was your all-time favorite scene of this whole thing?
Okay, I think I already gave away my favorite scene when I said that Simone Missick was the best thing I saw.
Yeah, Lord.
But a close second, I'm going to call this scene "Bring the Ruckus."
Bring the Ruckus was dope.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, threw the couch out the window at the Christmas Addicts. Yeah. Well,
which was pretty much the hallway scene, you know, the Daredevil hallway scene.
That was
his version of it, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, and then you kind of caught that in the trailer, but you really don't get the sense of it until you watch it in action. And the build up to it was just so great because, you know, you didn't just go rushing in there. It was like you really got the full reason, the build up to why he's running in it and doing that, like, because it was like the episode starts, you see the after effects, and it's like you go through the whole episode, you're like, now I know why he's running up in there starting some shit. Like, now he's got more than enough reasons. You know, it's not just you guys might have some, you know. Now it's like, nah, I got to do this. About Simone Missick and Misty Knight. I mean, of course, fantastic. You know, easy on the eyes and everything. Great actress too. I mean, she had some great scenes in this whole thing, and you know, Robbie.
It gets better.
It
turns in a great performance in the whole series.
This is Classic was like, is that her superpower? The whole thing with the photos, like, no, that's just how she sees things.
Right.
But you know, it could easily be because it really shows. It really gives you a sense as to her, you know, what her skills are as a detective, and as what kind of makes her stand out. And you know, she really goes through like the range as far as acting. So I think very huge props to her. You know, holding pretty much, you know, being you know, one of the leads in this entire thing. You know, I mean, there's no question she's one of the leads in this you know, in this series.
Right. I was going to say just very quickly. I was just going to cheat, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry, Roddy. Hold on to that thought.
No,
my next favorite moment actually was with Cottonmouth. And I was just making sure that it was within the first 6 episodes, and it's in
with the
5. The eulogy.
Be the king.
No, the eulogy also. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah,
exactly. That whole bit, I actually thought that was just so well written and so well delivered that I thought to myself, wow, that, you know, this guy really is, you know, owning this role. So I just wanted to cheat a little bit and slip that in. I'm sorry, Roddy, to step on that. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Because all I was going to ask is, so this is going to be spoiler for me, but I'm good with it. But I have my thoughts on it. Does Misty go through where we know her to be now?
You want us to spoil it?
Yeah, I mean,
sort of.
Actually going through.
Sort of.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm spoiling.
Because I kind of figured. Because I got to figure at some point something was going to happen, and you know, or at the very least get to a certain point where that's going to happen. So, given what's been going on so far, I kind of figured that's why it's not that much of a story. Like, it's not like we don't know where she's going. You know,
right?
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, they tease it a lot. I'll just put it in that perspective. I mean, like, when I say tease, you're like, okay, yeah, so I guess this is the next logical step, and you're like,
back to
yeah. So
Gotcha.
yeah, even by the time we get to the end, I'm still kind of like unclear if, you know, like what her situation is as far as that goes. But I mean, this is as much her origin, like pretty much you're seeing. And I hate to use the term coming of age because it's so overused, and like when we're talking about like Hollywood tales, whatever, but pretty much this is like Luke Cage's coming of age, you know, the Misty Knight's coming of age, even more, you know, Claire Temple's origin story coming of age as to where she's going to end up next. You really see the characters develop and change throughout, you know, kind of like their mentality. So, Roddy, did you have your favorite moment? Did you?
No, and actually give me a little more time to think about it because, like, so far, and next it's kind of hamstring because I've only gotten so far, but so far, man, probably. Well, I mean, clearly the Misty Luke thing was one.
Yeah,
but,
hot coffee. Let's just call hot coffee what it is. Grand Theft Auto. Shout out to Grand Theft Auto.
Word. But I guess it's some of the little things, like definitely the eulogy was one of them. It's good to be. Everybody wants to be the king thing was definitely that, but we knew that was coming. But definitely the eulogy, because you saw while they weren't actually fist fighting, they were still fighting with words.
Right.
Yes.
You know, and even whether the crowd knew what they were talking about, even though everybody pretty much knew
who was on
probably
what
had
side.
a sense of probably knew which side was what. You still don't get the sense that it's like, okay, they don't know how deep it is between these two, but they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I think that's pretty much the one that I could think about that's selling so far.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that eulogy was very powerful. You know, you really felt what kind of built up to that, and I mean, everyone standing and cheered. You know I wanted to stand up and start clapping too, and I was like, wait, I ain't in that church, man. I'm just enjoy this popcorn. But this is, it was great because it really, you really got. You really felt like you were there. They put you right in that space. And again, the build up to that point, it's like, you saw what was going on in the neighborhood and that community all that time, and how it got to that point. So, and what Pop meant to everybody. I mean, when you got somebody in the community that dies like that, and like the whole hood comes out, they know, everyone's like, "You going to Pop's funeral?" "Yeah, I'm going to Pop's funeral." Yeah.
It's like even a question.
That was the place to be,
Right. And another thing, it still kind of harkens back to like the 70s Black Exploitation movies and stuff, like, because you almost heard "It's So Hard to Say Goodbye" at the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, and because even with that whole scene, like the people coming in, the people sitting down, the Cottonmouth just testifying and all that kind of stuff, it's all of that still kind of harkens back to that era.
Yes.
In that, so that was all love.
All right, now I'm gonna tell you my favorite scene, and you can kind of figure out knowing my mentality, but and I mentioned Christmas Addicts when he was standing outside the Christmas Addict Center, and he was looking to go in. He was like kind of just waiting, biding his time, and he saw them leaving, and then he was kind of stepping in, and the kid walks up to him and pulls the gun on him behind him, and he turns around, and he's like. He does it. He does it, and this is where Mike Coulter really shows his acting chops. And it's funny because, like, if I have an acting reel, I'm not an actor, but I got friends that are actors, and if I had a reel, I'd be like, "I'm gonna put this on my reel." So he motions to his hoodie to tell him I got my headphones, and I'm gonna pull my hoodie down, I'm gonna take my earbuds out, and then you can talk to me. But he's like, "Yeah, so what you doing here, nigga?" That's what the kid says. And he's like, he's like, "I've been through a lot today," and I'm paraphrasing, so I might not get this right, but I've been through a lot today, and but not enough for you to allow me to call me that word. You really think standing here in a building named after one of the biggest heroes who died for this and started up what became this country today, that what you see before you is a nigger? He's like, "Yeah, dead one." And like, that's how the episode starts. So when you get to that point in the end of that episode, and he continues on, and he's like, and then he just like loses it, because you go through that whole episode, Pops is killed, and the barbershop is shot up, and and all these things are happening, and he's just like he's brought to the edge. And this is not even like 4 episodes in, brought to the edge, and then he just like loses it. And, this is kind of that frustration that a lot of people have with violence in our community. And he says, "I'm not tired enough to ever let no, that's not even that." At one point, he just goes off, and he's just like, "Look, if you're going to shoot me, then shoot me. Pull the trigger, nigga." And like, at that point, I laughed first off, because I was like, pull the trigger, nigga. Like, first off, you chastising him for calling you a nigga, and then you're like, "Pull the trigger, nigga." Like, but it was just that frustration and letting it out and just saying, "Look, if you're gonna do it, then do it. Fuck it, I'll do it myself." It's like, yeah. It's too bad we're not all bulletproof like Luke Cage, because we could pretty much just look. You want to live by these guns? Then fine. Here you go. Boom. Useless. So here's what we need to do is something better with your life, and this is how you're gonna do it. And I'm not saying it's like respectability politics or whatever. I'll say the N word on this podcast, and it's up to you whether you want to say it or not. Consequences and repercussions will be damned when you come out your mouth with that stuff. But let's just say the realism here, as far as the rage and what he had to feel to get to that point, because Luke Cage is not somebody that just runs around calling people niggas and stuff, obviously. But it's like, okay, at this point, he just had enough. And he was like, look, I'm about to clean house. Fuck this shit. And this kid, I mean, I really thought he was going to hurt that kid. I'm glad the kid just ran off. You know, I really felt like, oh no, you know, he's not going to hurt this little man. You know, but but after that, then he brought the ruckus, and it was like that was the buildup for me. That was the crescendo right there. You know, there are other great moments throughout. I mean, you know, I could look at Rosario Dawson all day, all night. You know, might do that. Yeah. Anyway, shout out to Miss Classick, but. She knows. Yeah. However, you know, that was the moment that really established Luke Cage for me in terms of, you know, and it kind of went back to this. I joked on Twitter that might have been Quentin Tarantino's favorite scene, because if every scene was pretty much someone saying "nigga," you know, he would have loved it. To hit up having his that's the Luke Cage I want. That would have been his Luke Cage. And then somebody pointed out, if it was Tarantino saying nigga, then maybe, but you know, if it was black people saying nigga, maybe not. Who knows? Fuck you, Tarantino. You know, make another Django and shut the fuck up.
So that part actually brings up something that was beautiful on the outside for me, because there was another part I actually kind of want to bring up that was really dope. That ended up being something that was really nice to me, but. I was talking to somebody actually yesterday, and they brought up this is a younger cat, you know, and they live up in New York, and they have had a tendency to say nigga a lot.
Oh,
and they recognized that fact, and they saw that scene, and it was like, and it made them rethink, their use of it, and I was like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, look, it's kind of becomes a sign of maturity, because you realize there's other words in the world, and there's people my age, older, that just still call everyone nigga, that do it, you know, because they feel it's like just the thing to do, or that's how they were, you know, that's how things are, and it's like, you know, you realize you know better, but it's like, well, whatever, it's too late for me, I'm not changing, or that's how I've been all my life. Or people got on Fat Joe about it a few weeks back, or a few months back, and that became a thing. I've always had a point of contention with, and I'm gonna say not blacks, because you know, but I'm like, particularly like Puerto Ricans calling people nigga, and I'm like, wait a minute, why are you using that word? You know, like you know, and I'm like. It's like, but that becomes an introspective thing for me. Whereas I'm not going to police somebody else's use. I'm going to say, well, maybe I should be using it as much if I got a problem with it, and you know, that's just my thing. You know, so I mean, I can understand your friend's point. I mean, and you know, I'm not going to say I'm uncomfortable with the use of the word in this Netflix series. I am going to say somebody else is probably going to watch it and be dumb enough to think it's okay, and. For that person, I say you shouldn't even be watching Netflix or anything that's for mature viewers anyway. Right. Yeah, you pretty much need to, you know, talk to your mama some more, and like, you know, talk to your good guy. Go to your local library, you know, read up on shit.
Read something, yeah.
Yeah, go read some Luke Cage comics where, you know, it's bleeped out. Yeah, Comics Code Authority. So that also. Yeah, go have a conversation about the comics. You know, and. So, but for the subject matter as it is, you know, I thought it was great. You know, I thought, you know, just the whole portrayal, the context, and everything. You know, it really told a great story. And you know what was funny to me too? That gun transaction got broken up by two like stick-up kids that was in the barbershop. I was like, all this damn security and 3 stick-up kids. I'm like, really? Y'all got brought down by like three kids that was giving each other edge ups in you know, just a few hours early in Pop Shop. You know what I'm saying? It was giving each other uptown fades and everything, and it's like, come on, man. What kind? How lax is your security? Fire everybody. This is the same security firm that was guarding Kim Kardashian. Too soon?
Too
soon. Oh, fire everybody. I know Kanye was pissed. I'm sure he just rolled up in Paris. Like, everybody fired. Everybody fired. No. That's my best Kanye impression. All you niggas is fired. Run my security. Cotton out, go run my security. Like, oh. over my team.
Man,
yeah, and we really feel for Mrs. Kardashian and the whole West Kardashian family. You know, I mean, I really don't sympathize much with Kanye because he's such a douchebag asshole and he's self-professed. So it's not like I'm calling him these things. But when I heard what happened with that, I was like, oh, that's really fucked up.
Yeah, that's too real. It's too,
whoa. Yeah, so I mean, don't nobody want to wish that on nobody. And the fact is, she made it out safe and alive, traumatized, but you know, look, money can be replaced, but certain things like safety, security, and your life and well-being can't. So at the very least, you know, glad that, you know, at least she's whole and at least they can move on to the next step, which is fire everybody, get some real security up in that piece. You know, 24 hour around the clock. You know, I don't know, man. How you make how many more times over than the president, but you got like the shittiest detail.
Right. I was about to say, speaking of poor security, bringing it back to the Luke Cage series, Mariah Dillard's security in her home is awful.
So everyone just jumping in there?
Awful stuff. They just walk right in. I'm just like, what? And it keeps happening, Roddy. It's a mild spoiler I'm giving you. It keeps happening.
And I think they just all got the same ninjutsu arts from the Hand from Daredevil. Yeah, like you know this like, how'd you get in here? Well, you know, ain't nothing that Turk Barrett can't get through. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, like, because you remember Turk Barrett snuck into Harlem Paradise.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah. How you get up on this rooftop here? Like, and how do you know to go to the rooftop to ask for his money?
Exactly.
Like, see, that seemed to be a theme that was kind of running through those. Like, yeah, from the junkyard thing, it was like, and the talking about the hammer, it was like, yeah, like, you know, basically something like, hey, I can get the stuff real easy, you know. So I was like, well, how know where you get the stuff in the first place? That is,
like, just in Hammer in jail. I mean, ain't he been in jail since Iron Man 2?
Yeah, but the company's still running.
Yeah, who's running it though?
Just tell somebody. Yeah, it's like either somebody in this company.
It's in a blind trust.
Doesn't seem right.
Some Donald Trump.
Doesn't seem
It's
so
trust.
you don't know fuck who it is.
See,
or just trying to somebody actually has done it. You know,
we're just trying to win no prizes at this point. You know, we're like, like this is real Marvel no prize shit.
Yeah, for real. Right?
Yeah, and when someone, and I've heard the complaints that, you know, we'll get to some of the negatives too. So people like, one complaint I heard people give is, oh, the writing was poor. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and I'm like, I mean, we talking about the dialogue or the plot, you know, and then, you know, oh no, it's just terrible writing. Whatever, you know.
But they couldn't give up.
No, I mean, I just take it as film school dropouts. I mean, that's kind of my thing. You know, it's like you pretty much obviously have written a lot of you know, screenplays in your time, you know, that kind of thing. So I take it for what it's worth, you know, a grain of salt. I enjoyed it, and so I don't get into the writing. And if there's plot holes or anything like that, it's based on a comic book, and there's plot holes in comics too. So it's like I can't really. And it wasn't so bad that it was like, oh, I can't. You know, there were certain points I'm like, wait a minute, how?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How or why? And when you find yourself asking that, you do sort of lose the your suspension of disbelief. And I know that Eclectic, shout out to Eclectic, was tweeting with me and basically said, you know, aside from those kind of glaring plot holes, it was a good series. And I tend to agree with him. There were just a couple of times when I stopped and thought, what? Why? How did you get there? What are you doing? Or why are you doing that? But then, you know, you move on because there's still so much happening.
Yeah,
I suspect that's nothing that's just exclusive to Luke Cage though. Like most of the Netflix series kind of had some glaring plot points here and there.
Yeah, but yeah, and you know what? If we're gonna nitpick like that, you know, I mean, compare it to the competition as far as like, you know, people are still asking to this day how Bruce Wayne got to Gotham City so fast after climbing out that hole, and like, we're, you know, and we're, I mean, if we're getting on that, you know, this is like minimal by comparison. So, you know, I say, you know, this doesn't really hold up as well as far as like as a point of contention. I mean, if this is what's going to turn you off to it, then yeah, maybe you just need to write something better. Because I mean, this was pretty fucking good.
I mean, I felt like the writing was pretty much key to it. Was written for the area. It was written for what they were going for. It definitely set the tone, just like everything else that was supposed to in what they were going for. I thought, at least so far. Like I don't know if that's going to change. You know, after the point where I'm at, then that'll be another time.
True that.
Yeah. Oh, but I wanted to bring up this point real quick because there was another point that I absolutely loved. That was actually a surprise. That was probably one of my favorite ones. Dapper Dan showing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, for the funeral. That's right. I couldn't remember if that was before or after you stopped. Okay, good.
Yeah, they explained that was a real person. You know, because Miss Classick was like, "That's really somebody." It's like, yeah. Yeah. It's Dapper Dad, Jacob the Jeweler. Like, there's certain people you go to for things, you know, and that's one of them. And he played himself.
Right, and that was kind of a shit moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of the artists too, like you know, that were on stage. It was kind of like you actually saw the original. You know, if they could get the original artists. Like when I saw the Delphonics up there, it was like, whoa, they really got the Delphonics. They really got the lady that sings 100 Days, 100 Nights. They really got, you know. And then they had Faith Evans. Well, it was funny because Faith Evans given like recent news about her. And I don't know if you guys...
about that too.
I was like, out on this recent news. What is this?
There's a video circulating.
She was at there was a Bad Boy reunion in Boston, and when Faith was on stage, that she might have had a wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah, she put it. Yeah. There was so she had some pets up for adoption.
Where's Jerry the King Lawler?
Yeah. Yeah, might have been, you know, she put up a pet for adoption, so she kind of displayed it for the aired it out. Yeah, it's kind of ventilation. Yeah, kind of. So it's like,
wait, hold on. There it is.
This break, this Vine break is brought to you by.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So anyone listening to this point, you know we're on the CSPN network. That's the network I run. That's kind of why you're listening to the show. If you're a first-time listener, which, hey, first time in a long time for a lot of us, including me, because we haven't done this in a while. Yeah, so CSPN.us is the site. You can check out all of our wonderful shows there. Most of them I produce, including the Comic Book Chronicles that these guys are on each week, talking comic books. The WrestleCast, Fear to Wrestling, Good and Terrible is, that's also on there. Bad Advice Show, Crown and Collards, one of our great shows there. Know the Score, our sports show, and many others. Innumerous, and more on the way, I should say. You know, I always like breaking news like that, but yeah, more on the way. So, riding and rolling, talking about cars. We got that Beer It Is about craft beer, which is
super luscious.
Yeah, super luscious. I like Beer It Is because it makes me want to drink more beer. Like I listen to the show, I'm like, hops, water filtration. I just want to drink. I actually went and toured a craft brewery after because I listened to Beer It Is so often. I was like, okay, I'm in a different town. I'm here. I got some time to myself. Where is the nearest craft brewery? And they were like, oh, you got to go ahead and turn this corner here. And I was like, okay, I'm going to tour this motherfucker. And it was great. It was, you pretty much go in there. They take you around. They show you how the beer's made. You get thirsty. They actually give you some beer to sample. And then you sit down at the, and buy yourself like a flight, which is like just a little shot glasses of beer. And you sample. I've sampled every beer in that brewery. And it was great. Nice. It was fantastic. And I took an Uber back to the hotel. And I was good. Hey, drink responsibly.
That's right.
So do that. Go to CSPN.us, click on the Keep Our Podcast free banner, and you can shop and help us through our sponsors. That's a great way to keep our podcast coming to you for absolutely free. We appreciate that. And just leave us some feedback if you can. iTunes, Stitcher. We're also on Google Play. You can just look for Classick Team-Up or CSPN Media on there. And we would love to read your feedback and hear from you. So that was the ad break. Agent 7, have you looked at the Faith Evans? It's so funny on so many levels that Faith Evans.
I was actually pulling up one of the ad scripts just now.
Oh no! You ain't got to get it right on this show. I mean, I pretty much like I'm the exception to the rule. I'm like, okay, I can pretty much bust the tease. No, I'm not gonna. Like, I should be able to just reel them off. I wrote them, but or kind of wrote them, like, kind of took it from whatever. But yeah, I love our sponsors. I love the fact that people enjoy our sponsors, and we kind of see the results of that. I love when people shop at Amazon, use the code or use the link, and it does help out when that bill comes in. It's like, okay, that's one less thing I got to worry about. Still kind of come out of my pocket or our pockets a little bit. I say our because Mrs. Classick, I mean, that's where the real money comes in. I'm just working to stay out the house. I'm not making no real dough. And that's why we got to have this Keep Our Podcast Free thing going, because, otherwise she'll pull the plug on everything. And then we're left with nothing.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So.
Oh, boy. On the Jumbotron.
Oh, you said Jumbotron. Oh, no.
Oh, no. On the Jumbotron.
And this is in the same series where her departed husband is like prominently featured in a painting in the upstairs, in the room upstairs with a crown on his head. I'm like, this just all comes together, All that needs to be left is Turk Barrett to come and start spitting Tupac lyrics, and I'd just be done. I'd be like, forget it. Oh no, but yeah, that was kind of funny. So, but yeah, the appearances were great. The cameos were great. Look, what can I say other than Luke Cage is great? You will enjoy it if you haven't seen it, and if you decide to spoil yourself here, Roddy, you're gonna enjoy the rest of the episodes. And look. If you have enjoyed it, or if you watched it and have enjoyed it, go watch it again. I'm about to get into some more Netflix binge watching of more Luke Cage, and it's going to be lit. Because
question, sorry,
sure.
Let me cut you off, but I got to ask real quick because this is something that keeps coming up. What do you think about the fact that Gangstar titles was used, both of those questions for the panel, and how they synergize with the episodes themselves?
I thought it was fantastic. It was pretty much like it really, and it was one of those things where it was like, after a while I started looking for which Gangstar titles weren't used, and I was like, that's season 2,
right?
But I noticed that Daredevil didn't have really that many like special ways to do their titling. Jessica Jones, every title was an AKA, because that was her thing. Yeah, because that's like the AKA. It was originally supposed to be AKA Jessica Jones, and it was based on Alias, which was the original comic book.
Right.
Alias is another term for AKA. I thought this made it unique to Luke Cage. Big nod to hip hop, big nod to Gangstar, and Cheo Coker, executive producer, and the creator of this series, used to, prominent writer, used to write for Vibe magazine. Was the editor-in-chief there, used to write for a lot of hip-hop pieces. So the fact that they got him on board with this thing, and pretty much he brought all these elements together, elements of hip-hop in terms of culture, elements of, black culture, and elements of rap, of community, of Harlem. It was like, you pretty much got the most authentic person you can get to pull this together. And I thought Marvel did a masterful job doing that. Because look, they could have got anybody to run this thing. They could have got fucking McG, and we would have just got Lethal Weapon with a dude with a tiara on his head, And then it's not a knock against Lethal Weapon. I enjoy that as a series right now, but it's McG. What do you get? So it's like, or it would have been Hype Williams, and it would have just been Luke Cage, but every room would have been splashes of pink and purple and blue, and I don't know what else Hype Williams is known for, but it's like, this really was great, well put together because of that. It was like, these were nice calling cards, these were nice nods, and these were things that made the show seem like it was ours more so than, this is just another Marvel joint. Like, nah, this is a black superhero in the Marvel universe, and we're going to show how black as fuck he is. The only thing they even touched on violence with police, and how police tend to brutalize people of color just because they're people of color.
And it gets and it goes much deeper into that the further into the series we get, Roddy.
Yeah.
So that's definitely just a teaser of that, but that's definitely a running theme throughout the show. And what's funny, I wanted to mention that as much as we do on the Comic Book Chronicles, Comic Book News, and Roddy does a masterful job of putting what we talk about together, what he does sometimes is bring up these bits about what the themes of some of these Marvel projects are, or some of the overarching, storylines. And I've done my best to avoid the last couple of trailers for Doctor Strange. I don't want to know anything else. And similar to that, for Luke Cage, I avoided, after the first trailer, I avoided as much visual stuff and as much like kind of preview music or scenes as possible, so that I could walk into this fresh. And what I did not know, even though I'm fairly certain I heard Roddy bring it up on the show and talk about it, was that this was going to be as socially relevant as it is.
Yeah.
And I knew it, but I didn't know it because I had a sense of it. But to actually watch it and to kind of go into it not understanding that this is exactly what they were going for was a great revelation for me as I was watching, because I could feel it. It grew organically.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire show.
Yeah, a lot of that, and as somebody, I don't religiously read Luke Cage or Power Man, but I have like dipped in from time to time. But Luke Cage, over the years, even like, going past the 90s and in the Marvel Knights era, and even when he was on Mighty Avengers and New Avengers and everything, and then after that, he was almost always about, he always stood for something. He had principles. He stood up for his community, and he pretty much, he wasn't just Sweet Christmas tiara punch you in the face. It was like he did that, but still had a purpose. He was kind of like, he was a hero to the community, and you got to see that play out here because you're not just going to be a hero community punch people in the face. You're going to be a hero to the community when they say, hey, I need your help for something, and you're going to say, I'm going to come through for you because you need to be safe in your shop, and this community needs to thrive and live, and and these are positive messages in the face of, say, negative surroundings. So fighting gangsters and fighting black on black crime and fighting police violence and fighting all these things that are ills today, to the point where, and I was concerned that, that people would see this, say, from outside, or people that just, don't know, and they're just going to go, here it is, black on black crime, the whole series. It's like, yeah, but it's upsetting the black community. And guess what? When you throw cops into the mix, there's still going to be them misunderstandings and like casting that into a different light. And, kind of close your mind to the fact that these are black people for a second. These are people. And if you don't see color like you say you do, you're still going to understand the narrative and what goes on here regardless. I mean, the fact that it's black and black culture, just kind of amplifies it to the extent, because now you're thinking, well, this is just a black show. No, well, it is, but these problems can happen anywhere. And gun violence is a thing. Running drugs is a thing. Organized crime is a thing. They were even saying it. Cottonmouth he'll go down just like, you don't want him to go down just like Fisk went down right in Hell's Kitchen. That whole first couple of episodes, without them change the music around and change some things around, that's Daredevil. The same damn story that you was raving about and loving. Same damn thing. So let's just not say, oh, this is just a black, this is just a black show. Yes, it's a black superhero and this is black people, but this is a story that's going to keep being told over and over when you talk about Marvel heroes. These are heroes in their communities trying to do something better and change things in their community where they are in the street level, and particularly the Netflix shows, and how they come together as defenders. I think is going to be very interesting and telling, because it's okay, how do you mix all these different heroes and their problems together and their characters together? I mean, Foggy Nelson and Misty Knight might be on the same screen together. And Patsy Walker's going to be there. How are you going to add Trish Walker?
Yeah, I was about to say, shout out to Patsy Walker, Trish Walker, who does.
Yeah, Trish Talk. I heard that Trish Talk, and I marked that. I was like, oh, Trish Talk, I know this joint.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, Marvel really makes it work. They connect it all on Netflix. Try that, DC. I don't know. DC does a great job with the CW series. So I think the two compare in terms of the Netflix series and the CW series are kind of where Marvel and DC are like neck and neck. I don't know what's up with Agents of Shield. I really don't. That's
odd.
That's a story for another time. Yeah. Like Ghost Rider, really?
I like this iteration of Ghost Rider. If you've been listening to Comic Chronicles when they were doing the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider, I definitely am a fan of that character. But what I would say is, in terms of how they're referring to the greater or the extended Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think now the Netflix shows are really, working in all those references. We like to call them Easter eggs, but they're really just weaving the shows deeper into the continuity. They're talking about, they make direct references, not just abstract references. Mm-hmm. They're just like, you know what? And I'm going to paraphrase without getting too foul-mouthed. Something I remember hearing President Obama saying, I think in the Correspondents' Dinner, bucket, right? Knocking it off the bucket list, right?
Yes.
All these references to the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe, bucket. It's all there.
It's all there.
They're dropping references to the Green Giant and the kid who's talking about the incident. They call it the incident.
Oh,
and they start name checking everybody.
HD.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Which was a beautiful scene all in itself for that. So
yeah,
exactly. So it's nice to see that these Netflix shows. I mean, look, this is the fourth one. We've got 2 Daredevils, a Jessica Jones, and now Luke Cage, and now they're just all in. They're going to drop these references.
We got Iron Fist on the horizon. We got Punisher coming up. We got Defenders coming. What more could you ask for? Only thing I could ask for from Marvel is how about the Avengers find out that Coulson's still alive? And maybe a reaction to that. It's like the whole 2.5 movies later, and not Cap didn't just roll up and was like, "Here your cards back, homie," or nothing.
Right.
Coulson is he resurrected Shield and then it went to shit again and brought it back again and like nothing. No, hey Phil, what's going on? Thanks a lot for whatever. God.
I know.
Yeah, so I don't know whoever's running things at DC.
Nerd Rage just came back.
This Nerd Rage moments brought to you by.
And the Ghost Rider thing is probably pretty much more to the fact that Doctor Strange is a thing.
Yes.
Because
pretty much introducing magic elements,
Exactly, and they're tied it into whatever movie's out at the time.
So. I really hope Doctor Strange has more than just those Inception special effects, because every time I see the trailers and stuff, I'm like, they're just doing Inception. That's right. Yeah, like okay, New York is a big Rubik's Cube. Great. I'm walking the streets and I'm upside down. Great. What are those puzzles called again? It's like Salvador Dali with the clocks melting, but it's like you see the imagery or whatever.
Right.
It's called like mist or something like that. It's like, what the hell is this, man? Really, this is what Doctor Strange is about? Come on.
We got to give him a chance. We chance.
We do. I'm really simplifing it here.
Yeah,
right now,
earned that much.
Yeah, right now you're just giving me Inception with with Khan. I'm sorry, from Star Trek. So
oh no.
Yeah, shout out to Nate Affleck. Yeah, shout out to Nate Affleck. So that's about all I got. I don't know if you guys have anything else you wanted to bring up.
I think we can probably call it the first half recap right there.
Yeah, and I think this leaves the door open for us, to bring it up further with more company, maybe at a Click Nation Treasury edition of the Comic Book Chronicles. The full on Luke Cage reaction, spoilers, recap, and everything else. We touched on most of it first half. If you enjoy on Netflix, continue to do so. Watch it again if you've enjoyed it before, and let us know what else you're checking out on Netflix. Anything else you guys are checking out on Netflix or TV wise that you want to just big up right now?
So first of all, let me go ahead and say shout out to New York Undercover. Shout out to the soundtrack of Luke Cage that is coming out in 3 days. In 3 days. Mm-hmm. Shout out to the whole musical thing in general. That said, The Get Down I still need to watch. There is this other hip hop documentary that is on, and they got a few of them that the Smithsonian apparently did, called Hip Hop: The Furious Voice of Rhyme or something like that.
Yeah,
it's on Netflix. That one I got to watch that I just found out about, and there's a couple more along that lines that probably gonna dig into.
Or shout out to the Get Down. Last time I was in New York, I watched it there, and then like I've just been watching it ever since. Just like kind of going back and forth through the episodes. I really enjoyed it, and you know it has its criticisms too, but you know I enjoyed it.
I definitely had some criticisms of the Get Down, but I still enjoyed the spirit of it.
Yeah,
I thought the spirit of the show and what it was trying to get across was great. Shout out to Stranger Things. I know there's going to be some Stranger Things cosplay at New York Comic Con. It is a fact.
Yes,
there's going to be some of that going on. But seeing Luke Cage after Stranger Things, after the Get Down, I don't feel so bad about Netflix raising my rates.
They brought back Voltron.
Yeah, Voltron.
They brought back Voltron for the homies. Come on, man.
Yeah,
and so pretty well too. Yeah,
I'm really enthused by just very very much pleased with the product that Netflix is putting out right now, especially in conjunction with Marvel. So.
Yeah, the Netflix has put the and chill in Netflix and chill. They really let y'all, they give you something to watch and enjoy, so you're not just watching like, some Bollywood. They got some good Bollywood joints now. It's not right, but I mean, I don't need obscure shit. I need some real shit. And people are stepping their games up across the board. Amazon's got more shows and offerings now, and there's YouTube Red and all these other series, and TV stepping up their game. So I mean, for Netflix to stay competitive, raise the bar is just a wonderful thing, because Jack Bauer's president on regular TV. Quantico back, and like I don't know what to do. I'm watching Pitch, and I'm enjoying that. So I'm like, y'all got a lot to compete with, and plus the superhero TV shows are coming back this coming week. So there's going to be a lot to talk about on the Click Nation, on the Comic Book Chronicles. So yeah, enjoy it while you can. This is like the golden age continuing.
Absolutely.
Entertainment. So yeah,
some coffee.
That's right. Let's get some coffee. Yeah. So we're gonna log off. We're gonna shut this down. If you can, get you some coffee, some decaf, whatever you got to do, sugar, cream, all that stuff, and we'll see you next time with some more Classick Team-Up for Agent 70 and for Roddy Cat. And for the rest of the Click Nation, Comic Book Chronicles, and the rest of the CSPN, this is Classick saying, peace out.